Something on your mind? Something that has you in circles, and you can't just figure it out?
So I kind of go over things over and over and over again, drive some people crazy, but somehow through all of that, you can kind of work yourself through your circle.
100 miles of running provides the time, and it might help you find the answer, too. Welcome to the podcast that explores the minds of those who explore. This is MTNmeister.
Who are the MTNmeisters?
Committing to the goal and galvanizing you and your team behind that one single focus.
Being at peace with that fear and being okay with it.
You gain a real appreciation for your life and for what you have.
Learn about their extreme lives on rock, snow, and ice with your host, Ben Shank.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another episode of MTNmeister. My name is Ben Shank. I am the host of this wonderful podcast. We welcome Ann Trason today. Ann, welcome to MTNmeister.
Thank you very much.
For the listeners who don't know Ann, she is a legendary ultra runner who was one of the best in the world in the 80s and 90s. She's broken 20 world records, and if I'm not mistaken, she is the holder of some of those to this day. Ann, do I have that correct?
You probably know more than I would.
That's pretty impressive, though, for records to still be held today. It's been 30 years for some of those, right?
Possibly. I don't look at those things, so I never looked at time. I couldn't tell you my times.
You're very different from other athletes, say in football or basketball, or maybe even ultra running, who track their times and stats and records very closely.
Well, the distance, you know what? That's probably why I got into ultra running, is I just didn't want anything that was specific to time, just finishing. I wanted something that if I finished, I felt good about, or, so time didn't have to be so much part of it. The experience, the journey, than the absolute fact of having standards. It became very personal.
You're more proud of finishing than your time?
Yeah. And the last 100 I did was my slowest. I did one last year just to see if I could still do it. And that was probably the most proud I've ever been. I had to really dig deep, and I really took a lot to finish. I was second to last. So finish lines don't feel any different. That's one thing I found, that I thought, I'm going to be embarrassed, but I'm more proud of that than any of my other finishes. Took more out. Took a lot.
That's interesting. So you are more concerned with your experience during the race rather than your performance at the end?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of life is, well, I've done both. Life can be an ultra. That's one of the things I like about doing some. It's almost like your life in a day for some of these hundreds or 30 hours or whatever you're. But yeah, I'm very goal-oriented, so having a goal and just the journey, I guess the adventure and the journey of it is how I'd like to look about life.
Very cool. Life is an ultra. What I've noticed during my short life, which is getting longer and longer as each day goes on, how people raised can have a huge impact on who they eventually become. I want you to talk about your childhood because, honestly, first of all, when I started this podcast, I didn't even know that a 100-mile race even existed, let alone that there are people who do them in 18 hours, in your case. Can you talk a little bit about your childhood? Were you always a runner? And then maybe what did your parents do, or what was your lifestyle like?
I started running because I had so much energy that my father took me to a track practice because they didn't know what else to do with me. They put bells on my shoes when I first started walking because I'd always run off. So I guess you could say that. I still have the shoes. My first pair of shoes have bells on them.
That was probably so annoying, though.
Maybe I'm just oblivious, but they like to know where I was at all times, or at least know when I'm taking off. So I had a really happy childhood. My mother was a very accomplished scientist in her, was a teacher, loved the outdoors, loved the beach, loved dogs. She wasn't a runner, but liked to be out. I think being outside and embracing life was something that I got from my childhood.
Mm-hmm. Well, when did you decide that you wanted to be a pro runner?
No, pro runner. I just wanted to do something where I was challenging myself. I had never even heard, you talk about never hearing, I had never heard of running 50 miles the first time I signed up for one. I thought it was crazy. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I was very much someone who idolized people in the day, and I idolized Sally Edwards, and I saw in like some little rag magazine that I had done a half Ironman, and I had read her books because of that, and I saw she had a record for a 50 mile in Sacramento, and I was like, that's impossible. So, but I just signed up for it. I can't tell you why. It was just, I just saw it, and I sent in my application like immediately.
Were you prepared for that physically?
Oh, no. I was really, really stupid, and I had there was no information. Now it's an overwhelming amount of information. Mm-hmm. But because she had all these Fleet Feet stores, I went into the closest Fleet Feet store where, because she was the owner, and asked them, how do you train for this? And they hadn't even heard of it. This was a little franchise. So they're like, yeah, Sally does that, but we know nothing. I mean, there was no books. So I just started running a lot. And I showed up, and I didn't even have a water bottle because I saw it had 8 stations every 5 miles. Well, it was, I should have done the math because, she had the record of like 7.5 hours or 7:15 or something. But I just thought, and it was 110 degrees. It was the hottest day ever for this race. And I'm just running. This guy's like running next to me. He's like, you need a water bottle. And I'm like, why? And he's like, you will die out here and not finish. So he had his wife give me a water bottle. I would not have finished if he hadn't handed me his water bottle. The learning curve's huge. And it was just astronomical.
I think it's so cool. I'm really not familiar with this age of not being able to find everything on the internet.
I'm a dinosaur, honest.
No, that is not meant to make you feel...
No internet, can you believe it? No cell phones, nothing. You couldn't find... I think I finally found one book on ultra running, and it really didn't have that much information in it. So,
on one hand, I really like the age that we live in today, where like we are so lucky to have all of this information at our disposal. It advances our learning. You can pursue almost whatever you'd like, whereas there were so many more barriers 20 years ago. But at the same time, I kind of like that because then it weeds out all the people who really aren't passionate enough.
Yeah, I guess that's what I learned through it. I really had a passion for moving and adventure and seeing a lot of places that I never would see. And it just promoted me to explore more of the areas that I kind of thought I would want to go to, like the Sierras. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of what got me, and it kept me in doing it more than record setting or any of that kind of thing. It was just the continual not knowing or exploring. How about exploring areas that I had passion for, which is the outdoors and trails and mountains.
And on this podcast, and we explore the minds of those who explore. So you're the explorer here, and we need to explore your mind. You talked about and you explained very well why you're passionate about this, but now I want to know why you're so good at it. You have won the Western States 114 times, and that is among many other victories and records. Why are you better than all of the other racers?
I think I have a passion for it, and that just propels me. I don't think I was any better than most of the people I was running against. Are you kidding? No.
I am definitely not kidding. You beat them, right?
No, it's true. Part of it's luck. And then part of it's having a passion. And I always stayed in the moment. I didn't panic. I'm a pretty good problem solver. I think when I'm stressed, some people panic, and I become somehow very calm. Most people who know me, can be pretty hyper, but when I'm in that moment, I'm incredibly calm and incredibly focused, and in the moment. It's kind of my Zen moment of sorts. It just, that kind of stoked this passion that I had. And exploring my mind, I never knew when I went to start of Western States, for example, that you bring up. I loved it because every race was a different day. And it was like a different life. And you just didn't know what was going to be thrown at you. So there's just this anticipation of, well, what's going to happen and how am I going to react? And it was more, I was just so thinking about myself that I never really thought much about the people around me. You can't. If you started, at least for me, if I started focusing on, who was ahead or who was behind, then I'd lose focus of myself. And it's pretty hard. I mean, it was hard. It was not something that I had stomach problems. I had all sorts of issues, and I think that's what drove me to it. It wasn't simple. If it was simple, I wouldn't have done it. I like complex activities.
Like what else?
I love remodeling houses. I love wiring. I love gardening, making big gardens. I probably had 26 raised beds, growing different vegetables, seeing what will grow in different climates.
Very interesting. So would you say that being calm in the moment not only has helped your running, but it can help those other complex projects? I know it sounds a little ridiculous staying calm in the moment during your gardening, but we all have moments where we need to stay relaxed. Does that help you?
I can get very focused, and I think that's one of the things. Once I have a project, I think more in running, because when I'm active, I think I'm calmer. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things, the drawing with other activities in my life, just having that focus. And you have to have dedication. So having a project, reading about it, trying to figure out how to do it, that's just gets my brain working. Everyone's different. I mean, some people would be boring.
Yeah, exactly. And you would probably be awful at a 100-yard dash.
Yeah. It would be boring.
Right.
Focus and passion and figuring out what you enjoy doing is important.
Meister fans, quick break from Ann's interview to tell you about an innovative product and to offer you an exclusive deal on that product. Today, we bring in Sandra Sawyer from Bondi Band. Sandra, welcome to Mountain Meister.
Good morning. How are you, Ben?
So good. Thanks for coming on the show today, Sandy. For the Meister fans, Bondi Band makes athletic headwear and accessories, including compression socks, fun-saying headbands, and so much more. Sandy, many of our listeners probably use headbands or compression socks when they bike, ski, run. Tell our listeners why you guys are different.
Well, first of all, our compression socks, as you said, are very fun. They have great pattern and they work well. Secondly, our headbands are made of a very unique fabric. It is our proprietary Bondi Max fabric, which is unique in nature because it offers your customer heavy sweat-wicking properties. It also offers your customer no slip, no drip when they're using it to work out or just enjoying it daily. It also offers the same amazing performance over time because we have the sweat-wicking properties right in the fabric, and if they care for it correctly, it will have lifelong performance. It's great because all of our headbands are unisex in nature because we offer several different designs to fit men, women, and children, and they're actually easily customized for your business or your running group.
The customization I absolutely love. We need to get some Mountain Meister headbands. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Slap Mountain Meister on the front. You'd feel like a Mountain Meister when you use them. Speaking of which, I mentioned biking, running, even skiing, any activity, I guess, where you need sweat wicking and also no slip. Any other places where people wear Bondi Band?
Well, that is what's great about Bondi Band products is you've got, a whole different subset of people that just really, truly enjoy wearing our headbands daily, to dress up their outfits and also to just add some fashion and flair by our fun saying bands.
That's what I was going to say. If you looked in my sock drawer, Sandy, I love fun socks, but you will not find a pair of white leopard print compression socks, nor purple or pink print leopard socks, I should add. And you have those.
Well, you need a pair.
I do need a pair. I need a pair of leopard print compression socks. And then you also have Argyle, so people can literally wear compression socks to work. Now, Sandy, you were telling us that Bondi Band is offering an exclusive deal to the Meister fans. Tell us what you got.
Well, absolutely. We thought it would be fun that you could go and try our products and also have fun browsing our fun sayings in solid colors. So we have set up a unique code for Mountain Meister, and it is buy 3, get 1 free.
Nice.
And the code to use is Bondi Meister.
Bondi Meister, BONDIMEISTER for the listeners. If you forget that for some reason, you can find the highlight of this on our Meister Deals page on our website, MTNmeister.com. Also, go to Bondi Band to check out all of what they have to offer, including the white leopard print compression socks, the headbands, the calf sleeves. You guys have everything. Sandy Sawyer, thank you for joining us today on Mountain Meister.
It was a pleasure meeting with you. Have a great day, Mountain Meister fans.
All right, everyone, back to Ann. So since you kind of wound down your running career, a lot of people have entered the sport. It's much more popular today, obviously, than when you were competing. Looking back, do you wish that you had more competition?
I had a lot of again, it was more, I was never competing against anyone but myself.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of people think you have to be, but I just competed. I just wanted to know what I could do. And I always kept adding on to my goals, even in an event. That's how I pushed myself. You might be achieving your high tier gear, and I'm like, oh, that is attainable now. So let me change my goals midstream, and see what it takes to try and get that goal.
And you would be I'm sure, a very talented golfer. Do you golf?
No, I hate golf.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm terrible at it. My father's like a really good golfer, and I am horrible.
Just what you said right there, though. You play against yourself. That is extraordinarily important in a game like golf. I think you like have like a hand-eye coordination, and I'm one of those people. The golf club, I bet you can learn the hand-eye coordination. The hard thing to learn is the mental side of the game. That's the downfall for professional golfers, is the mental game.
Yeah, and being probably a little bit more every second. I think there's a little bit more flexibility when you're running.
That's a good point. Over 24 hours, there's probably a little bit more flexibility than 18 holes of golf. I don't know. I think you need to give it another opportunity at some point.
My father will really enjoy that one.
Let's move on. So, do you know this guy named Bernd Heinrich, Ann?
I've never met him. I've read his books. He's one of the people that were in the sport right when I started getting in. I really admire him a lot.
Yeah.
His writing, just his outlook on life, and I enjoy his books.
Well, you need to listen to his Mountain Meister episode. That's number 75. In it, he uses this analogy, which I really like. He's talking about how his running helps out his academic career. And he talks about how when he runs, it's like this big bucket of marbles. And when you shake up this bucket of marbles, the colored ones, there are these random colored ones dispersed throughout. When you shake up this bucket, it's like the colored ones all rise to the top. And he's talking about how running really clears his thoughts. I'm curious if you have a similar experience as running. Are you able to really clear your thoughts? And what do you think of when you run?
Oh, it really depends. Yeah, it's that's definitely, if I have a complex problem or I'm trying to do some writing or something. Yeah, it's my brain kind of works in circles, so it's kind of cool to go out and running because you're kind of in that kind of rhythm. So I kind of like go over things over and over and over again, drive some people crazy, but somehow through all of that, you can kind of work yourself through your circle, or the problem that you have. So, and there's something just, I don't know what it is, it's very calming to me to be out on the trails. You're away from, a lot of times they run alone. I love people, I'm very social, but there's also aspects where I need a lot of downtime or space. And so going out, and even in the East Bay and the Bay Area, there are places where you have a lot of places people just don't go on trails. So that's just refreshing. I couldn't tell you exactly why, but it does clear my mind, or at least it allows me to think of things from different angles while I'm still going around in this circle.
I've noticed that for myself this past maybe year. I've said before that I think a lot of people run for different reasons, and that's why I really like the sport of running or the activity of running. I used to run for exercise, then I would run to give myself an opportunity to listen to podcasts or audiobooks. I really like just like killing two birds with one stone. And now I run to, similar to what you just said there, is clear my thoughts, give me time to think through things. Has the reason that you run transformed over these past 30 years?
No, I think there's still just this passion. And the exploring and the adventure aspect is, part of things I am very like to set goals. So in the day there were goals for races, but the underlying thing was just going out and doing adventure runs in the Sierras in the summer and being in shape to do that, or wherever, whatever part of the world, the Rockies or any place, but I spent a lot of time being in California in the Sierra Mountains.
You have a very calming voice, Ann. Have you ever gotten that before?
No.
Really?
Yeah. Most of my friends think I'm pretty hyper.
Did you just go for a run before this?
I think this is funny. I do a social thing, which is spin.
Oh, yeah.
Indoors. But I have this group of friends, so I just got back from spin class.
I love spinning.
Yeah. I just love the group I'm with. It's a kick.
I'd push myself hard in spin class.
Oh yeah, we have some pretty hard instructors. That's why I ended up going to this gym, because I knew one of them from running, and she scared me in her. But she's going to be a really killer spin instructor, and she was. That's
what I love about spin instructors. You start off by liking the person. You're going to be put through a test, and then by the end of the class I just end up hating them, but I normally just need a little bit of time to refresh, and then I'm ready for another class. Yeah,
it surprised me how much I enjoy doing it, because it's so the antithesis of everything that I thought I would like. But it's kind of cool when you find. I just started doing I started doing because I was getting into at the end of my so-called running career. I started doing some spin classes, and it's stayed with me since then. Mm-hmm.
So I guess I should ask you this. What do you do besides run? So you're a coach now. When you were during the 80s and 90s, when you were crushing this sport, were you doing this full time, or did you have another job?
Yeah, for a long time I worked in labs doing biochemistry and molecular biology, and then I worked at a community college for a while. Mm-hmm. Really fortunate. I got sponsored by Nike, and it was they got a little stipend, and I was able to survive on that. And there was a great opportunity for me, so that I could go to different parts of the world. And
running's not an expensive sport, and when it's taking you 17 hours a day to do your job, then except for the food. People say that running's a cheap sport, but then I realized that I spend like $50 more a week because I'm eating so much.
Oh, yeah. I was talking to someone before Western States, we'd all just get this other girlfriend of mine, Emma Davies, who was behind. I mean, we'd get so obsessed about losing weight that I think we ate less.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was pretty goofy.
That almost sounds unhealthy.
Yeah, we probably were a little unhealthy, but But yeah, I also in the Bay Area, there's all these great produce places and markets, and it's wonderful where I live.
Speaking of unhealthy, and I've brought this up with other runners before, running 100 miles is not good for you, right?
I think the jury's still out on that. I'm not convinced. I don't think we're going hard enough. I mean, I don't know.
Say that again? You don't think we're going hard enough?
Yeah, I don't think for a lot of people, it's not like you're running all out, and a lot of it's forgiving, at least the trails. I don't know. It's I think the jury will be out on that. I have no clue. Okay,
well, to be determined.
I'm not going to, if there's something you really, that you're not hurting someone else and you really enjoy, you just have to follow where that takes you, I think. At least that's my philosophy.
That's fair enough if you're not hurting anybody else. Good point. I do want to talk about your coaching, and for the listeners, I should say this is not meant to be promotional for Ann at all. And Ann, if there's one person who would not want to be on this show for promotional purposes, I think it'd be you. But I'm very curious because I think run coaching is becoming more and more popular these days. So what do you do as a coach? And I know you teach high school kids now. You were telling me before the interview you'd like to teach middle school kids. What exactly do you do as a run coach?
Well, the online, I do mostly, I am at a high school now for cross country, and I was middle school. Probably go back to middle school. I love the age. I think that's because I'm basically 12. So I've been told I shouldn't tell people that, but I think I can relate to that age group very well. Huh. So I haven't grown up. But on the more grown-up side, dealing with that, I really, anyone can put a schedule. I do put a schedule, but I like to look at it as, goal setting and working with people on a very personalized level on achieving their goals. Putting out a schedule, but also collaboration and working back and forth with someone. Because and most of these people who are doing ultramarathons, it's not easy. And there's a lot of complex parts to it. So working through there, and everyone has different strengths and weaknesses, and figuring out what those are on an individual basis. And it's a growing process. It's a lot of fun. There are a lot of great people out there. So that's kind of I'm probably a little bit different in that I really believe in the collaborating part.
So it's very individualized.
Yeah, everyone has different goals.
And so your goal was to finish the race. How do you help people where their goal is to get a certain time? I put my mind to their minds, or try to. Ooh. And I have quite a few people I'm working with that do have very set times, and you set the training, but you also have to figure out, the mental part. I think a lot of the stuff that we're doing is so mental. That, getting people just to believe in themselves is a lot of it. I want you to give me a diagnosis here. I have noticed, and actually I think it has disappeared since I really started training for this marathon, which I'm about to run. And actually your interview is going to be released after I run my marathon, so hopefully I'm still alive. This could actually become a valuable piece in the archives if I'm not. Anyway, I find that when I start to approach the finish line, I get this gag reflex, and I have about 5 seconds where I can decide to slow down and not throw up, or keep running at the pace that I'm running, and I will inevitably throw up. But it always seems to come right near the finish line, or at least when I'm conscious of where the finish line is. Do you think that I am subconsciously picking up my speed, or do you think there's a mental component there?
Oh, that's too hard to tell. I'd be like, strap on a heart rate monitor and see if your perceived effort is... but is that true for if you're running a marathon or running a 10K?
I'd say more 5K, 10K. Yeah,
you might be... that's a hard, but hopefully it won't happen in the marathon.
I hope not.
But anyway, I always had a really weak stomach, so you're asking the wrong person.
Okay, well,
if you have a strong stomach in ultras, that's an iron stomach. That's a huge gift. But I would always pretty much get sick a lot.
So when I do throw up, though, I just get it out and then I feel great after that.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
It's disgusting to talk about. But yeah, that's one of the things I tell people. Don't be fearful. I mean, a lot of times you feel better. And but that is one of the aspects that hidden truths for me anyway was that I had very, very weak stomach.
Yeah. On the topic of vomit, no.
Oh, great.
We like to get a gear recommendation from our guests, Ann. Can you give our listeners something either fun or unique? It's just something that they have to have.
Well, for night running, I'm really big because, being a dinosaur, like I told you about, the flashlights were horrible in the day. So I love the Phoenix flashlight handhelds are incredible. You can see so much more on the trail at night. Not that most people are going to be doing that. You won't have that problem at New York, but I just love my little Phoenix.
Phoenix flashlight on Ann's Meister profile page for our listeners. Check that out. MTNmeister.com, Ann's Meister profile page. To wrap things up, and this is going to be a question that I'm not sure if you're going to be ready to answer, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. You've been so calm throughout this entire interview, and it's obvious that you're either uncomfortable or you don't like talking about your accomplishments because you are a legend in the ultra running community, yet you don't like to talk about what has made you a legend. And I have been searching for an answer to a question for a very long time, and I'm curious what your perspective is on this. So we always hear about how stepping outside of our comfort zone is very good for us, right? And you've seen that in the physical sense. Like, I think we could all say that running 100 miles in 18 hours is somewhere way beyond the comfort zone, and you've seen a reward from that. But you are either uncomfortable or don't like talking about your accomplishments. Do you think that you should be stepping outside of your comfort zone in this fashion? Or is this a case where, okay, you just don't want to talk about it? It's just something you don't want to do. You're not going to benefit from it at all.
No, it's one of the ways I can get passion out there for other people to explore what they don't think is possible. Basically, a friend of mine told me I should do this. No, I'm just kidding. I wasn't going to. But no, it's just a great way to, if you always stay in your comfort zone, you don't know what's out there. And I agree with that. I rode my bike across the country when I turned 50. I told you I was a dinosaur. Because I'm not a very good cyclist, and I went with a hardcore group just to get outside my comfort zone. So, yeah, maybe you're right there. Maybe I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone on a more different mental angle. And I mean, in here, the reward for me was I heard that you had an interview with Burnt, and I haven't heard his voice ever. So that was my reward.
Wow, yeah.
You don't know are out there when you do something. That's why I'm like, yay, I'm glad I did this because I learned something. So I think also anytime I love talking to people, and I guess in that part, this was cool because you learn something. So life is a continuing learning process, at least for me. And so I'm thrilled I did this because I got to, and I listened to your other with Darcy. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty good podcast. So yeah, thank you.
Love it. I have thoroughly enjoyed talking to you too, Ann, and as always, learned a lot. For the listeners, check out Ann's Meister profile page on our website for highlights of today's episode. You can also find out more about Ann and her coaching. We'll have the links posted to there as well. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Thank you.
Hey, Meister fans. Thanks for tuning in to that episode with the legend, Ann Trason. Hope you enjoyed it. Just wanted to remind you guys a few things about some awesome deals that we have for you. First of all, that deal you heard from Bondi Band. buy 3, get 1 free on their headbands using the code BondiMeister at checkout. We also have some great deals from mojagear.com, 15% off of everything in the store using the code Meister. Also, 19% off of all 510 products. If you're in the market for some climbing shoes, take advantage of this. 19% off of 510 using the code Meister510 at checkout. All of these are on our website. Enjoy doing the rest of whatever you do when you